Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Sidney Poitier, a trailblazer who transformed Hollywood. Sidney Poitier stands as one of the most influential figures in cinematic history, a performer whose talent, dignity, and determination reshaped not only Hollywood but also the broader landscape of American culture. As the first black actor to win the Academy Award for Best Actor and a pioneering presence on stage and screen, Poitier's legacy is one of courage, excellence, and groundbreaking change. Early life and formative years. Sidney Poitier was born on February 20, 1927, in Miami, Florida, to Bahamian parents who were in the United States temporarily for work. He grew up on Cat Island in the Bahamas, where life was simple but full of strong communal values. At age 15, he moved to the United States, eventually settling in New York City. There, he worked a string of low-wage jobs before finding his way into acting almost by accident, driven by a desire to better himself. Poitier joined the American Negro Theater, where he overcame early criticism, particularly for his accent, through relentless practice and discipline. His determination soon paid off as he began earning stage roles and eventually transitioned to film. Rise to stardom. By the 1950s, Poitier emerged as a striking new talent in Hollywood. His performance in Blackboard Jungle, 1955, brought him widespread attention, but it was The Defiant Ones, 1958, co-starring Tony Curtis, that solidified his status as a major actor. This groundbreaking film about racial tension and cooperation earned Poitier his first Academy Award nomination. Making history in 1963, Poitier made cinematic history by winning the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in Lilies of the Field. His portrayal of an itinerant handyman helping a group of German nuns was heartfelt and inspiring, and it marked a turning point for representation in Hollywood. This achievement broke barriers for black performers and proved that talent, not stereotypes, should define roles on screen. Poitier's success paved the way for the generations of actors who followed. A defining presence in the 1960s. The late 1960s were a golden period for Poitier. In 1967 alone, he starred in 3 iconic films that addressed race relations at a critical moment in American history: To Sir, with Love, portraying a teacher who brings compassion and strength to a troubled London school; In the Heat of the Night, playing Virgil Tibbs, a brilliant detective confronting racism in the American South; Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, tackling interracial marriage at a time when it was still illegal in many states. These performances showcased Poitier's ability to bring intelligence, integrity, and moral authority to his roles, qualities that became a hallmark of his career. Beyond acting, director and diplomat, Poitier expanded his career in the 1970s by moving behind the camera. He directed several films, including the immensely popular comedies Uptown Saturday Night, 1974, and Stir Crazy, 1980, one of the highest-grossing films by a black director at the time. In the 1990s, he also served as the Bahamian ambassador to Japan, further demonstrating his commitment to public service and international goodwill. Legacy and impact. Sidney Poitier's contributions to film and culture are immeasurable. He transformed the roles available to black actors, refusing to portray characters that reinforced harmful stereotypes. His presence challenged industry norms and forced Hollywood to reckon with its portrayal of race. He received numerous honors, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom and an honorary Academy Award recognizing his lifetime achievements. When Poitier passed away on January 6, 2022, tributes poured in from around the world. Actors, directors, and political leaders praised him not only as an extraordinary artist but as a symbol of progress, resilience, and grace. Conclusion: Sidney Poitier was more than a star. He was a pioneer who changed what was possible. Through his powerful performances, unwavering principles, and trailblazing achievements, he opened doors for countless artists and left a legacy that continues to inspire. His impact endures as a reminder that dignity, determination, and talent can truly reshape the world. Champion of dignity and representation, Sidney Poitier's career unfolded at a time when the roles offered to black actors were limited, often demeaning, and designed to reinforce racial stereotypes. Poitier refused to accept such portrayals. He insisted on characters who were intelligent, ethical, and fully human, individuals whose stories resonated beyond racial identity. This artistic stance was not without challenges. Some critics accused him of being too perfect, an idealized symbol rather than a reflection of the complexities of black life. But Poitier's choices were deliberate. He understood that in an industry still shaped by segregation-era thinking, every role he accepted carried weight. He once said he felt as if he were representing 18 million people with every performance, a responsibility he took seriously. Crafting a new screen persona, Poitier's acting style was marked by quiet intensity. He could convey profound emotion through subtle gestures, and his calm, steady presence commanded attention. Whether facing injustice in the heat of the night or guiding rebellious students into Sir, with love, he brought sincerity and psychological depth to each role. One of his most famous moments came in the heat of the night, when his character, Virgil Tibbs, slaps a white plantation owner who has struck him. The scene was groundbreaking. It was one of the first times a black character physically retaliated against a white aggressor on screen. Poitier insisted the moment remain in the film, recognizing its cultural importance. Directorial achievements: while celebrated for his acting, Poitier was equally ambitious behind the camera. In the 1970s, he became one of the few black filmmakers directing studio-backed movies. His films frequently featured prominent black actors and explored themes of friendship, community, and resilience. Notable directorial works: Uptown Saturday Night, 1974, a comedic crime caper starring Poitier and Bill Cosby that became a cultural hit. Let's Do It Again, 1975, another successful comedy with Cosby, blending humor with social commentary. Stir Crazy, 1980, starring Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. This comedy became one of the most successful films of its year and remains one of the highest-grossing films directed by a black filmmaker during that era. Poitier's success behind the camera helped expand opportunities for black directors and storytellers in Hollywood. Cultural influence and civil rights consciousness: Sidney Poitier was deeply involved in the American civil rights movement. He attended marches, supported organizations, and used his platform to advocate for equality. He formed friendships with leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Harry Belafonte, both of whom saw Poitier as an essential cultural figure who elevated black representation during a turbulent era. His films of the 1960s often mirrored the nation's racial struggles. Characters like Virgil Tibbs embodied strength and refusal to tolerate disrespect, while roles in films such as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner challenged audiences to confront their own prejudices. Awards and honors: over the course of his life, Poitier received numerous awards that acknowledged both his artistic contributions and his cultural significance. Academy Award for Best Actor, 1964, Honorary Academy Award, 2002, Presidential Medal of Freedom, 2009, Kennedy Center Honors, 1995, BAFTA Awards, Golden Globes, and NAACP Image Awards. These honors reflected not only his individual achievements but also the evolution of Hollywood and America toward greater inclusivity. Later years and reflections. In his later years, Poitier wrote several autobiographical works, including The Measure of a Man and Life Beyond Measure. These books revealed his reflective nature, his philosophical leanings, and his gratitude for the struggles that shaped him. Poitier believed deeply in self-determination and the power of integrity. His writing often focused on themes of identity, responsibility, and moral courage, values that guided him throughout his career. Even after retiring from acting, he remained a respected elder statesman of the film community. Younger actors frequently cited him as an inspiration. Denzel Washington, who became the second black man to win the Best Actor Oscar, famously thanked Poitier during his acceptance speech, recognizing him for opening doors that had previously been closed. Enduring legacy. Sidney Poitier's influence stretches far beyond cinema. He changed perceptions, reshaped an entire industry, and demonstrated what representation can achieve. His performances continue to resonate, not only for their artistic brilliance but for their humanity. Today, his impact can be seen in the increased visibility of black actors in leading roles, the rise of black filmmakers in mainstream Hollywood, narratives that address race with complexity and honesty. A global appreciation for stories rooted in dignity, justice, and equality. Poitier remains a symbol of artistic courage, a reminder that one person's talent and integrity can shift cultural landscapes and inspire generations. A man of purpose. Poitier's personal philosophy. Sidney Poitier often described his life as a journey shaped by discipline, gratitude, and moral clarity. Growing up in the Bahamas, he learned values he carried throughout his life: humility, self-reliance, and respect for others. These principles became the foundation of his identity both on and off screen. Poitier also spoke frequently about the moral weight of his career. He understood the symbolism of being the first black leading man in Hollywood during a period marked by segregation and racial hostility. He refused roles that compromised dignity, even when those decisions limited his opportunities. Poitier once explained, "If the fabric of the society were different, I would be free to make mistakes and choose any role. But I was not free. I had to ensure that the characters I portrayed would live in the minds of black people with pride." This philosophy shaped a generation's understanding of representation. Behind the scenes. How Poitier changed Hollywood from within, negotiating power with integrity throughout the late 1950s and 1960s. Poitier became one of the few actors, black or white, who had real negotiating power in Hollywood. He used this influence carefully. He pushed for scripts that depicted black characters as fully realized individuals. He fought against scenes that reinforced subservience or racial stereotypes. He insisted on equal treatment on set, including accommodations and respect for black colleagues. These battles were often fought privately, but they set new expectations for how black professionals would be treated in the film industry. A global icon, Poitier was among the first actors of color to achieve genuine international stardom. His films found audiences around the world, and his dignified persona influenced global perceptions of black Americans. In parts of Africa, the Caribbean, and even Europe, he was celebrated not only as an artist but as a symbol of progress. Key film performances with lasting cultural impact: The Defiant Ones, 1958. This film, pairing Poitier with Tony Curtis, was radical in its portrayal of interracial cooperation and mutual dependence. The two men, chained together while escaping from prison, represented a metaphor for the country's racial struggle. Lilies of the Field, 1963, Poitier's Oscar-winning role as Homer Smith remains one of his most beloved performances. Though lighter in tone, the film showcased his ability to convey warmth, humor, moral strength, and profound humanity. In the Heat of the Night, 1967, his portrayal of Detective Virgil Tibbs became a milestone in American film. The famous line, "They call me Mr. Tibbs," became synonymous with asserting dignity in the face of racism. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967. This film challenged American audiences at a time when interracial marriage was still illegal in many states. Poitier's character embodied a calm and principled vision of racial equality that was aspirational and provocative. To Sir, with Love, 1967, as Mark Thackeray. Poitier portrayed a teacher who won over troubled students through compassion and leadership. The film became a global hit, especially beloved for its music, optimism, and message about the transformative power of education. Mentor and pioneer for future generations, many actors, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Oprah Winfrey, Lawrence Fishburne, Halle Berry, and countless others, cite Poitier as a guiding light in their careers. He showed that brilliance and integrity could coexist, and he opened spaces that had previously been sealed shut. Denzel Washington, upon winning his 2002 Oscar, famously said, "You were there before me. Every step I take, I walk in your footsteps." Oprah Winfrey said, "His work shaped how the world understands what it means to be Black, and even more importantly, what it means to be human." Ambassador and gentleman, Poitier in public life beyond Hollywood. Poitier dedicated himself to diplomacy and service. From 1997 to 2007, he served as the Bahamian ambassador to Japan. He also represented the Bahamas at UNESCO. Diplomats admired his patience, eloquence, and ability to bridge cultural divides, traits that had defined his acting career as well. Personal life and character. Sidney Poitier was known for his grace and humility. He married twice and raised 6 daughters, maintaining a reputation as a devoted family man. Friends and colleagues often described him as soft-spoken yet powerful, thoughtful and introspective, disciplined but compassionate, deeply committed to ethics and personal growth. In his memoirs, Poitier emphasized the importance of understanding one's identity and remaining true to one's values. Passing and worldwide tribute. When Sidney Poitier passed away on January 6, 2022, tributes came from actors, presidents, world leaders, activists, and ordinary fans across the globe. The collective message was clear: Poitier had not merely acted in films, he had changed the world. His legacy continues through the Sidney Poitier New American Film School at Arizona State University, which is dedicated to inclusive storytelling and expanding opportunities for underrepresented voices. An unshakable legacy. Sidney Poitier's life is a testament to how art can influence society. He was an actor, a director, a writer, a diplomat, a civil rights advocate, and a symbol of progress. He proved that representation matters. Dignity can be revolutionary. Courage opens doors. Talent, when paired with purpose, can reshape entire cultures. Poitier didn't just break barriers, he dismantled them, rebuilt them, and widened the path so others could walk through with pride. Sidney Poitier. the depth of a legacy that transcends cinema, a global cultural force. While many artists achieve fame, only a few achieve the kind of symbolic stature Sidney Poitier reached. For audiences around the world, across Africa, the Caribbean, Asia, and Europe, Poitier became a figure of hope, an emblem of possibility for people who had long been marginalized. In countries emerging from colonial rule, his films resonated deeply. They depicted an empowered black man whose dignity and intelligence were undeniable. Scholars have noted that Poitier's screen presence often paralleled the aspirations of newly independent nations: calm strength, self-determination, and a quiet refusal to be diminished. In this way, Poitier's influence extended beyond Hollywood, shaping conversations about freedom, equality, and identity on a global scale. Civil rights activist behind the scenes, although not always as publicly vocal as some contemporaries, Poitier was a dedicated participant in the civil rights movement. He was close friends with Harry Belafonte, whose activism was well known. Together, they funded and transported resources to activists in the South, marched in support of voting rights, attended the 1963 March on Washington, used their celebrity to raise international awareness of racial injustice. Poitier's activism was rooted not in grandstanding, but in deep moral conviction. He recognized that every step he took in Hollywood had a ripple effect in the national struggle for equality. He often said he viewed his career as part of the broader movement for civil rights, not separate from it, but intertwined. Philosophy. A life of reflection and discipline. Sidney Poitier's success was not accidental. It was the product of a lifelong commitment to self-improvement and introspection. His core principles included discipline. He practiced incessantly, studied scripts meticulously, and approached each role with surgical precision. Integrity. If a role did not align with his values, he simply would not take it, even when it meant financial strain. Responsibility. Poitier believed he carried not only his own ambitions but the aspirations of millions of black viewers. Humility. Despite his immense influence, he consistently downplayed his fame, describing his life as a long journey of learning. His writings, particularly The Measure of a Man, revealed a man who reflected deeply on morality, identity, and the purpose of art. Working method. How Poitier built a performance. Actors who worked with Poitier often commented on his remarkable control and precision. His approach to performance included 1. Emotional restraint paired with intensity. He rarely raised his voice unnecessarily. Instead, he used silence, posture, and eye contact to express emotion, techniques that made his characters compelling without melodrama. 2. Deep script analysis. Colleagues recalled that Poitier often annotated scripts with philosophical notes, exploring not only what a character did but why he did it. 3. Ethical alignment with the role. Poitier insisted on portraying characters who displayed agency. Even when a character struggled, he ensured they possessed moral weight and self-respect. 4. Physical presence. Even in stillness, Poitier had an aura that commanded attention. Directors frequently noted that the camera seemed naturally drawn to him. This distinctive method became the template for generations of actors who followed. Relationships with fellow artists. Harry Belafonte and Poitier shared a brother-like bond. Their friendship spanned decades of activism and mutual support. They often described each other as family. Denzel Washington viewed Poitier as a mentor and forefather. Poitier, in turn, admired Washington's balance of talent and discipline, qualities he valued deeply. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. Working with these Hollywood elites on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was a turning point, not only professionally but personally. Poitier often spoke of their graciousness and the sense of validation he felt working alongside two screen legends. Ruby Dee, Ossie Davis, and others within the Black artistic community. Poitier was regarded as both a guiding star and a symbol of pride. The Poitier persona, archetype of strength. Critics and cultural historians often describe the Poitier persona as
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.